Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another Reddit Threads video, and today we're getting into some mysterious Reddit threads. You guys have been loving these videos, and I have loved recording them. These Reddit thread videos are so interesting, so you'll want to stick around. These are some disturbing, weird, and mysterious Reddit threads, and so, like I said, you'll want to stick around. I appreciate you stopping by. It means the world. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. The channel subscriber goal is 1 million subscribers, so please subscribe to the channel. And all right, without further ado, let's get into some mysterious Reddit threads. House broken into. Nothing taken? Just got off the phone with police to file a report. The dispatcher was really rude to me to make matters worse. This has been a really shocking and unnerving Friday afternoon for me. Got home an hour ago to see my front door wide open. I'm 100% sure I locked the deadbolt when I left to work this morning around 8 a.m. There's no damage to the door at all. It's almost like somebody unlocked it from the inside. Or maybe picked the deadbolt lock somehow. Absolutely nothing was taken from my house. Everything is accounted for, including money, personal documents, electronics, etc. I really can't find a single thing missing. There were 3 wet footprints in the kitchen, like somebody walked through a puddle and tracked it into the house. They look small, perhaps a child? The kitchen has a slight aroma of tobacco/pond water, but I don't smoke and I live alone. I noticed that 2 of my light bulbs in the bedroom are burnt out. May just be a coincidence, but I thought it was weird since they're high-quality LED bulbs. I found my cat hiding under my bed. She's really freaked out. I'm so thankful she didn't escape the house considering the front door was wide open. What do you guys suggest I do? Have any of you experienced this sort of break-in before? How did it pan out? I'm planning on going to Home Depot tonight and buying new locks. Can you suggest any CCTV systems? Is Lorex any good? Thanks for reading. And now let's get into some of the top comments on this post. Someone says, the fact that nothing was stolen could mean that someone startled the burglar/burglars. Might even have been you. Did you check your roof, as that is also a possible entry path? And that's a good point. Maybe the burglar got scared and just rushed out and didn't even have time to steal anything. That's definitely a possible theory. And the OP replies to this comment saying, still waiting for the cops to show up. They're taking their sweet old time. Admittedly, I'm sure there's more important things to tend to. This keeps getting more and more bizarre. I went over to my neighbor's house to tell him my house was broken into and if he saw anything. He asked me, your house was broken into after your family was over? I had no idea what he was talking about. He said that he was in his backyard a few hours ago, working on his old muscle car, and overheard a little girl screaming and crying from over my fence. He said it went on for at least 10 minutes until she went inside. There's no way for a little girl to get in my backyard. It's heavily gated and fenced off. I have no family here in California and definitely no children. I told him that, and he suggested that maybe the intruder had their kid with him. I don't even want to be inside my house right now. I've never had something like this happen to me, and it makes me feel like my home is no longer safe. And that adds a really creepy level to this. I mean, at least the neighbor gave some insight, but like, why would there be a little girl in the backyard? And then she supposedly went inside. That's really creepy to me. And then someone else commented saying, bizarre to say the least. Has any of your food or drinks gone missing? I have heard of cases where intruders spend hours in homes, eating and drinking, even taking naps before they take off with valuables. And the OP responded to this saying, I have no food or drinks missing, even though there were strange wet barefoot prints in the kitchen. And the bed is exactly how I made it in the morning. Trying to air this weird smell out as I write this. Yeah, that's very creepy. And then there was a few comments about people suggesting security systems and cameras, and the OP does agree and goes and buys a security system or a camera, and then the OP gives us an update, posted almost a year later. And the post reads, my home security situation just got weirder. And the post reads as follows. So about a year ago, I had a really weird, for lack of a better term, Friday afternoon that has confused everybody I talked about it to in real life. I posted in this sub and got great advice. For a few months after that post, things were fine. After a few days, I shook the feeling of dread, probably just fear, but I'm not a psychoanalyst, and moved on with my life. Nothing else happened that I took note of until a few months ago. I'd say sometime in mid-August, that feeling of dread came back for no reason. Nothing happened to cause it. I just felt that sinking feeling when being in my house. It felt like I was being watched sometimes. The hair would stand up on the back of my neck when I'd go to the kitchen in the middle of the night to get water from the fridge. Then shortly after, it progressed. I could swear things would move sometimes. Like recently, the toilet paper roll being placed neatly on the floor next to the toilet instead of on the holder. I never, ever have put a roll of toilet paper on the floor. Food also seems to go missing mysteriously. 2 pairs of my girlfriend's underwear have also disappeared. I even tore apart my washing machine looking for them to no avail. My cat has also been increasingly stressed. She started pooping outside of her litter box and seems extra happy to see me when I get home. I'm not gonna lie, as stupid as it sounds, there were a few times where paranormal thoughts crossed my mind. I mean, wouldn't you feel the same? I'm a hobbyist system administrator, so I finally got around to installing a bunch of, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, NVR security cameras, and I've been pretty happy with them. Even though it eased some of my weird negative feelings on the short term, the dread still persisted. Then this morning at approximately 3:30 a.m., one of my cameras recorded something incredibly strange. One individual rides a bicycle up to my front gate, and half a minute later, an accomplice jumps from inside my locked gate with a bicycle, and they both ride away. He has a backpack and what appears to be a toolbox I've never seen before. I can't quite make out the other audio other than Fiona and right now, cuz. And I will now play the video. And in the video, it's black and white, I guess nighttime. In the top left, you can see it was 3:20 in the morning, so very, very late at night. And yes, this person rides up their driveway on a bicycle and goes out of frame of the picture. And then we can't really see anything else for a while. And about 30 seconds later, 2 people ride out of frame. And then the OP adds some extra video of the slowed down footage. I mean, you really can't make out the face at all. So good luck trying to find this person. But yeah, very, very creepy. And yeah, I guess they have a toolbox of some sort. I mean, it looks more like a briefcase to me, but sure, toolbox, briefcase, whatever. And yeah, 2 people late at night going up to the OP's driveway. I mean, that's very, very creepy. And then the OP continues saying, so you think they just broke into the backyard to steal tools, right? Well, here's the thing. Just like the last time, nothing was stolen. All of my tools, electronics in the garage, etc. are all accounted for. I even had an Amazon box sitting outside my garage in the open, untouched. What thief would leave behind a sealed, free to take Amazon box? Also, the cameras, which have a POV of my garage and backyard, did not activate on motion. And another thing that's incredibly unnerving. Here's a map of my camera setup and premises to give you an idea. I have 4 cameras and only one was triggered, driveway 1. That means that the second person, presumably male from the video, came from the blind spot, pictured in the diagram. After looking at my map and checking out that area, I noticed that the crawl space under my house, accessed via 2x2 gate covered opening, has been bent back and busted out. Uh-oh. That means someone has probably been living in the OP's crawl space. And the OP links a picture or a blueprint of their house, and you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 cameras, and only the 4th or only the driveway 1 camera view was activated. And I guess this other guy went in through the blind spot and was doing something in that blind spot. I don't know what. And I wonder why the cameras didn't get activated. Maybe the OP needs new cameras, but that's very, very creepy. And the OP continues saying, so that means that this guy was under my house. For how long? I have no idea. The crawl space under the house has direct access to my home's interior. via floor panels in both of the bedroom's closets. I'm still trying to file a police report since 10 a.m. this morning, but haven't gotten a call back yet. The police did same to me almost a year ago. I'm incredibly disturbed. I'm afraid to go home, and I'm a grown dude with pistol training. I've been sleeping next to a loaded S&W Shield 9mm, but now I'll be sleeping holding it under my pillow. What's to learn from this? Secure your crawl space access with heavy-duty latches from the interior? Reinforce any entrances to the underside of your house with welded plates or custom fabricated doors? I'll post any more updates as they come along. I hope this saga is done with. And now let's get into some of the comments. Although something interesting is the OP only responded to like one comment. And yeah, that's kind of weird to me because like the OP was very interactive with the first post, but not interactive with this next post. But anyways, let's get into some comments. Someone says, sounds like they're enjoying the use of your house and also using the crawl space to stash stuff they've stolen elsewhere. And then the commenter kind of links back to the main post when the OP said secure your crawl space access with heavy duty latches from the interior. And the commenter replied to that saying, at a bare minimum. Better yet, tie the hatches into a monitored alarm system on their own zone, but handled the same way as any other exterior door. That is, armed when you set arm stay. So they are treated as intrusion if opened when you're home and asleep. Someone else says, this is weird. I have looked at both posts. Possibly theft related, stashing, possible drug related. That looked more like one of those cheap metal briefcases than a toolbox to me. I'd say it's time you get professional help. You need to contact a physical security consultant for an audit/assessment. And I agree. I do think it was a briefcase, not a toolbox, and who knows what they had inside that briefcase. I mean, definitely could be storing drugs of some sort or stashing or smuggling something and just using the OP's house as kind of a stash. Someone else says, holy shit. This post is really interesting. I think the person arriving on bike is a female. The person leaving with the backpack is a younger male. Could it be that they simply stayed there for shelter and for having a place to sleep? It's really spooky that they could have access to your home using this space. I don't think you should shrug those chilling feelings you had off as your mind playing you, but be careful not to encourage your brain to get overly paranoid. Those feelings were probably there for a reason. Do you have inside cameras? I would rig the whole place with sensors, SMS alarms, and PIR lighting if it was me. Holy shit. And I can't agree more. This is terrifying. And the only comment the OP replied to was the comment saying, out of curiosity, why do you think they're entering your house? And the OP replied to that saying, your guess is as good as mine. And then that person replies to the OP saying, maybe swap the driveway and garage camera orientation. That way you have the blind spot covered, the driveway and garage covered still, and also enables you to monitor the entryway between your house and garden. Keep cameras within view of each other is also a good way to ensure no one can tamper with a camera without being caught on another one. And the OP replies to that saying, my reasoning was the IR wouldn't be powerful enough at night to flood that distance. But you're right. I need to get some IR floodlights and reposition them all. And that's the only comments the OP ever posted. And after going to the OP's account, he hasn't posted in 7 years. And so we never got an update about this. I really do wonder what happened to the OP, what happened to the people around his house or possibly in his crawl space. A very creepy story. And I mean, my biggest fear is someone living in my house without me knowing. And this Reddit thread perfectly encapsulates that. I mean, who knows what those people are doing? Maybe they come up through the crawl space during the day and eat his food, sleep in his bed, drink his drinks, or whatever. Who knows? Very, very creepy. And on to the next one. My spouse has been acting incredibly strange. Do I need to help him or do I need to escape? Posted on July 14th, 2024 in r/relationship advice. Sorry about formatting. I'm on mobile and I'm really shaken up as I write this. My 30F spouse, who is 35 male, has been experiencing behavior that has only become increasingly concerning. In the past 2 months now, he has been talking about things that he claims are happening but he's never mentioned before. As some background info, When his behavior first started getting concerning, I managed to convince him to go to the hospital to get it checked out for his mental health. He wasn't even seen by a doctor, and he was told he just needs to take a certain medicine and to help him sleep. The issue is he also smokes weed, so this medicine does not mix well with that. He won't quit smoking. We also have 2 very young kids. And now back to the weird recent behavior. He claims he had an old email with an inheritance that got hacked, and he needs access to it. I tried helping him get on it, but he hasn't used it in literally the 12 years we've been together. I only knew of its existence previously when I helped him switch his Facebook login, and that was an email attached. Another example is that he believes everyone is talking about him to me and everyone else. I mean, literally everyone else. He thinks there's some sort of big thing planned to hurt him or do something horrible to him soon, and that we're all in on it. And before I continue reading the rest of this post, that does sound very, very close to schizophrenia or some sort of psychosis. I'm not a doctor, and I can't diagnose anyone, but after covering many posts and videos about schizophrenia and gang stalking, this sounds very, very similar to symptoms exhibited by schizophrenics. And anyways, let's continue. The OP then says, on a few other separate occasions, he's asked about a show that we're on and asked how much money I'm being paid to keep a secret. He also thinks I'm having secret phone calls and that I've apparently left the room to accept these calls, which then results in me coming back crying about something I've apparently discussed on the phone. Whenever I try to explain to him that none of this is happening, he fights back saying that I'm just lying to him and to tell him the truth, that I need to tell him the truth or something bad is going to happen. It's gotten so bad he ended up getting fired from his job because he was barely showing up. He kept going to the cop station to make a report instead of going to work. After he got fired, there was some sort of tense situation where they ended up calling a wellness check for him because they were afraid he's going to come back and hurt someone. The cop showed up while I was also home, and he said he wouldn't hurt someone. He only acts in defense. In the recent weeks, he's gone from screaming at me demanding answers to just not talking to me at all. At this point, I'd rather he just not interact with me. The reason I'm writing this is because of what happened today. It was a nice day out, and I asked if he would come with me for a walk with our kids, to which he agreed to. He barely spoke a word to me or the kids on this walk, and when we came across a playground, I asked if we should take the kids there for a few minutes of play. He then got upset at me for suggesting it and said I always control everything and I'm the queen of the decisions. I didn't even tell him we were doing that, I just asked. When I mentioned this, he just said, do whatever you want, like always, so I figured why not. So I played with the kids at the playground and he did his own thing. Someone left a couple various balls there and he was throwing them around. He then picked up the football and threw it in my direction. It flew past me a couple feet from me. I asked him why he did that and he said, why are you upset? It didn't hit you. To which I responded, well, what if it did? He then said, if I wanted it to hit you in the head, I would have thrown it that way. Then he started on a rant about how he's going through the same thing with everyone lying to him, after which he sat down in the corner of the park and was doing literally nothing. I was getting upset, so I packed up the kids and started walking to leave the park. I said to him, we're going home, and started walking away. Apparently, he tried to yell out to us, but ended up taking a different way home than we did. He told me this when he met him on the street when we were almost home, saying that, next time I want to be an idiot and walk away, maybe stop and listen for him calling out. I didn't hear him, but honestly, he could have easily caught up to us. I was getting more and more upset and said I wanted to go for a drive to get a coffee, and he said fine. I said I wanted to take the kids, and he asked why. Then I said fine, you stay home with them, and he said no, they can go with you, and started putting them in the car. I got in the car and he got in the passenger seat, to which I asked him if he was coming with. He said yes and to drive. I told him I didn't want him coming with me because he's being mean, and he said he could be a lot meaner. As I started driving away, he kept going off on the usual BS he's been talking about lately, and I told him I don't want to hear it. He started screaming at me to keep driving and shut the fuck up. I stopped the car and told him to get out, and he made a motion like he was going to punch me, but punched his hand in front of my face. At this point, I started crying and yelling at him to get out, and he yelled back, no, just drive. I then said I should just drive him to the police station for that, and he said he would choke me unconscious before we even got there. I was crying even more at this point and said I don't want to be with him anymore, and I want him out. He said no. He continued to be a dick for the rest of the car ride, where I pleaded with him to not treat me this way, especially in front of our children. It's not fair to them or to me. He said to not bring them into this. I said, how couldn't I? They were literally in the car. Anyway, after I drove us home, he asked how long I've been waiting to break up with him and who I'm replacing him with. I told him I haven't been and there's no one else, which of course he doesn't believe. When he got inside, he even taunted me saying, I should take you to the cop station, in a girly voice. He's outside smoking and I'm inside with the kids writing this. Of course, I'm shook up currently, but I don't know what to do. We only have the one vehicle, which is in both our names. The place we rent is actually my mom's, so we don't have a lease, but we both have our addresses attached to this place on our licenses. He wasn't always like this. Literally, only the past couple months his behavior has been this bad. I miss the person he used to be. I miss that he could spend time with me, with the kids, but he spends all his time by himself now. I don't know if he's going through some sort of manic episode or what's triggering this change in behavior, but I really don't know what to do. Is there something differently I can do with him? Every time he talks to me about whatever situation, he doesn't accept any answer I say, and also won't accept if I say nothing. Edit. I just wanted to update and let you all know we are safe. I'm sorry for not saying anything sooner. I'm a bit overwhelmed with how popular this post got, and will give an actual update later. Thank you for the advice and comments as well. I will mention a couple things. We are not in the United States. Where we are, marijuana is legal, so my spouse does get it from government-run dispensaries. I don't think there's a chance his stuff gets laced aside from the fact he mixes cigarettes with it. A lot of people mentioned the crystal. There's just no way. He doesn't go anywhere random. He doesn't talk to people outside of our household, aside from the few times he would go to the police station. I have had his location on his phone, so I can see where he goes when he leaves. And I don't know how people aren't bringing this up, but this is just my comment, and I've commented this a lot, but marijuana can easily lead to psychosis and schizophrenia, especially if it runs in the family. And so I don't know why people immediately went to crystal, because weed can easily make you kind of lose your mind or go into a manic episode or induce psychosis or schizophrenia in people. And I think this is a good PSA for everyone watching. If you haven't smoked weed, please do your research before you do, and make sure your family doesn't have a history with any sort of psychosis, schizophrenia, or any other mental health condition, because smoking weed can trigger it, and that is a lifelong issue. And I don't think people talk about that enough with weed. Weed is good for some people, but it's also very, very harmful and potentially harmful for others. So please do your research on it. I think people think weed is kind of like a do no harm drug, even though it definitely can for certain people. And I think this person, I don't want to speculate too much, but I think this person may be exhibiting that because they keep smoking weed, and you can enter kind of a paranoid or psychosis-like state if you keep smoking weed. And I think that might be the reason this guy is kind of losing his mind. I don't know, but definitely keep that in mind, everyone watching. If you haven't smoked weed, please do your research, because it can be very, very destructive for some people. And also, I think this guy should get help. Instead of just leaving him, please try to get him help, because he obviously needs it. And anyways, let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, I just want to say, I was that terrified kid in that back seat. Absolutely traumatizing. My mom always came up with an excuse as to why we couldn't leave the house or leave dad. Made me suffer for many years of my life, and I'm 28 years old trying to deal with the trauma it has given me. Please stop making excuses and leave. Get out for the kids. My mom never did, and it truly has ruined my mental health. Someone else says, wow, this is way more urgent than everyone seems to be acting. Are you able to sneak yourself and your kids out right now while he's smoking? You could start by going to the police station and telling them what's going on. They should hopefully be able to connect you to resources for your situation. If you have someone you can stay with, then that makes it easier, but either way, do not spend another night in that house with him, and definitely don't let your kids around him unsupervised. If you can't sneak out, I would call 911, tell them what just happened and about his threats, and that you need to get out, but that you're afraid for you and your children's safety. They are not always the most helpful, but something needs to happen. At least then if he comes back in and tries to do something to you, you'll be in the phone with them and they can send someone then. Might be a good strategy while you're leaving too, if you're worried he might catch you. It sounds like he's having some sort of psychological break. The paranoia and being convinced everyone is part of some conspiracy against him is not abnormal there, but he has clearly told you that he is a danger to you, so you need to worry about that first. Get yourself and your kids to safety and figure the rest out after that. Once it's time to deal with him and his situation, depending on where you are, getting him involuntarily detained for psychiatric treatment requires proving he's a danger to himself or others. So at least you can show he's threatened you, but worry about that after you and your kids are safely away from him. And I agree with that. And then someone says what I was just talking about, saying heavy cannabis use can trigger the onset of schizophrenia in people who are already susceptible. Your husband is right about the age where this tends to happen to men. I'm not a doctor, but I really think this is a mental health emergency, either due to a drug interaction, drug use itself, or because he is rapidly developing a psychotic disorder. You need to see a mental health professional, not the ER, and describe all his behavior to them, including the frequency of his marijuana use. And the OP replied to this saying, that's the thing. He saw a crisis nurse in the hospital and a therapist/social worker there, and I felt like the only thing they tried to do was get him to take a specific medication. I think it's called, I don't even want to try to pronounce it or something, but anyway, I don't think he is regularly taking it, and if he is, he definitely should be mixing it with smoking weed. And so, I mean, the OP's husband is still smoking weed. I mean, that's not going to solve the problem, especially if it is cannabis related. I mean, yeah. And then someone replies to the OP there saying, that's the generic for antipsychotic medication used for schizophrenia and bipolar episodes. That makes way more sense to be prescribed than a sleeping pill. You're right though, he needs to be taking something else. Bottle should have the dosing on it. I looked up the instructions and the ones listed are moderate and mostly physical, although generally people with any side of psychotic disorder, I think, are not supposed to use marijuana. And yeah, I would agree with that. Someone else says, just call the police for assistance to leave. If you have somewhere to go, it's that easy. I've done it. He'll put a good front on you, but you need to tell him you are in fear of your life because he threatened to strangle you. You can't allow and be a scary baby, not in front of your kids. He traumatized them enough. You can also have him remove for the threats of your life, and you can change locks. Do not let another day pass in this. And, you know, that last comment is good, but I think this is much different than a kind of more generic domestic situation, because this guy is obviously has some sort of onset psychosis or schizophrenia. I mean, when he said he thinks everyone is in on him, I mean, like, you can't reason with someone like that, or at least easily. And so, like, telling him these things and even calling the police on him or like leaving him straight up might worsen the condition greatly, and he might come after you. I mean, I can't really tell the OP what to do, but if I was in the OP's position, I would definitely call a specialist and yeah, maybe call the police so he can get locked up, and then maybe not have access to any sort of drug substances anymore. But he definitely needs to stop smoking cannabis and go see a specialist, because I think that is probably the reason for his worsening condition. But I don't think, you know, calling the police and immediately leaving him will make it any better. But anyways, let's see what the OP then updates us with. Also, before I get into it, I'm not a professional or anything. That's just kind of my take on it. But anyways, let's get into the OP's update, posted on July 20th, 2024. And the OP says, hello. First of all, thank you all for your comments, messages, etc. on my previous post. Obviously, it got a bit too much to keep up with responding, but I just want to say I really appreciate the help. Hey, too long, it didn't read at the bottom. To give an update, I left the house that night I made the post, but went back home the following day. I wanted to be able to collect some sort of evidence I could use, because my spouse has been really good at downplaying his symptoms to any authority figure. I want to mention that I have been present at most doctor and hospital visits prior, so I know what they did recommend for him. I felt at the time that they did not give him enough help for the crisis he was obviously going through. Anyway, continuing on. The couple days after the Sunday post, he did not really engage in much conversation with me or our children. Every time he entered the room, I set my phone to record. I did not get anything until Thursday, when he finally started talking to me again. He was questioning who I have been talking to about him and who I was trying to sabotage his life. Obviously, I denied everything because there was no one talking to me about him aside from this Reddit post, which he didn't know anything about. This started to anger him, which included him yelling at me and saying if anyone is talking to me about him, to bring him to the house so he can take care of them himself. I tried to not engage anymore. This made him more upset, as he was continuing to demand answers from me. He would then say, oh, I want to hit you, or don't make me slap you. When I was either not answering or just saying I didn't know what he was talking about, I got this on recording. After he ended up walking away and leaving the room, I took the kids to bed, locked us in our room, and tried to sleep. The following morning, he insisted on driving me to work. I told him I wanted the car, to which he disagreed with me and said he needed it. After dropping off the kids, he started going off on me about how I am stupidly, dumb, a bitch, etc. for keeping his inheritance. Again, something he is clearly having delusions about. From him, I tried to disengage completely, keeping myself to the far side of the passenger seat, which caused him to grab me by the back of my neck and pull me closer to him, where he told me to listen to him. I obviously reacted to this and was super upset, telling him to please focus on driving and not touch me again. After he drove me to work, the last thing I said to him as he was still going off on me with the car window open was, "You desperately need help." Once I got in, I called my boss and let her know what happened. She came in, canceled her appointments for the day, and took me to the police station. We made a report, although the sergeant we initially spoke to seemed to be against us making a report. He kept saying he will be homeless if I report him, like he's the victim in the scenario. I told him my safety and the kid's safety should be more important, and he brought in a different officer to make the statement with me. Once I completed that statement, they let me know to stay away from the house as they are going to arrest him and will call once he's out of the house. About 5 hours later, he was arrested. Apparently, he was very compliant, and with all the information I provided, they actually took him to the hospital, and he is currently on a 30-day psychiatric hold. He'll be going to court at some point for uttering threats and assault, but seeing how he doesn't have a criminal record, I'm sure it'll just end up being a slap on the wrist. So as of now, I am home, safe with the children, and we're getting our locks changed. I will also most likely get a protection order, but in an ideal world, he gets better and that's not necessary. I guess we will see in the future. I want to again thank everyone for the comments and assistance. A lot of you made some excellent points, and although I know some of my decisions probably seemed like dumb ones, I was trying to figure out the best solution logistically for us. Any other future updates will be on my profile. And then the OP actually gives us 2 updates after that original post. The first update is summarized as the OP then says her husband gets treatment, starts acting a lot better, and he's kind of normal again, and that all the previous symptoms were nothing like him, so she gave him a chance. And his husband or her husband thought he was like on the Truman Show and everyone was out to get him. I mean, very kind of signature schizophrenic or psychosis like symptoms. And after he stopped smoking and only started smoking cigarettes again, he's gotten better. So most likely it was the cannabis use. And then things looked good. And the OP literally said, I don't think I'll add another update. Things are going good. And then the OP gave us an update about a year later. And this one is unfortunate. The OP then says, hello all. It's been almost a year since my last update. To keep things short, shit hit the fan this year. He didn't take the medications he was supposed to, reverted into another major psychosis episode, which ended in him attempting to strangle me after I disputed his delusions. He was removed from the home and there's a protective order against him for myself and the kids. This happened earlier this year. My kids and I are safe and I haven't heard from him since. Don't be like me. Don't trust that someone will get better or attempt to work on their horrible mental health when they haven't proven to be reliable in other parts in their life. Don't try to fix someone who can't be fixed, or rather, just don't try to fix people. Thanks everyone for their comments, whether they were good or bad. Shout out to the Best of Reddit Updates community that will eat me alive after reading my update. And I just feel so bad for the OP. And in the OP's first update that I read about the OP getting better, she does mention that she doesn't want them to be in TikTok videos, and I wouldn't consider this a TikTok video where it's an AI voice. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible, and I truly think this post is a great kind of lesson and a great reminder to people that you're not alone if anyone is dealing with any sort of their partner going through something similar. And be very, very careful with people who are going through a mental health break or a manic episode, because, I mean, they are very unreliable. They can stop taking their medication. And I'm not saying these people are like animals or something, but you just have to be very respectful and careful with how you approach certain things, because Yeah, mental health is extremely important, and schizophrenia and psychosis are very unpredictable illnesses or bipolar, and so it's best to get professional help if you can. And so you're not alone. And the OP, if you're watching this and you want this trimmed out or taken down, please email me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, even though you said you didn't want it to be in a TikTok video. I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all. I just think this is a great post because it'll make people not feel alone. And I just wish you the best. And hopefully we get an update soon that things are better again. I just really, really hope you get better. And I wish the best for you and your family. Anyways, on to the next one. My girlfriend has a secret room that I found. What do I do now? I've been with my girlfriend for 5 years, and we've been living together for 3. I pay rent. It's her house. Yesterday, I discovered something strange. We wanted to replace the floor. It's scraped and uneven, with new hardwood flooring, and immediately my girlfriend was acting strange about it. She wanted me out of the house and insisted she'd call someone, even though I knew a good contractor that could help us. It was on the far side of the house in a neglected room, so I never really had a reason to go in there. My girlfriend had a carpet over everything and kept it clean regardless. Anyway, she told me we'd have someone come tomorrow and went out for a few hours to help her brother with his car. Me, wanting to be helpful, went to clear everything out of the room for the floor person. I removed the carpet and lo and behold, I see grooves in the floor along with a fold-out handle. At this point, I'm a little freaked out as I knew nothing about this room and wondered if my girlfriend even knew about it. I pulled up the latch and looked in to see a ladder. It didn't look old, but went down at least 10 feet, I'm guessing. On the back of the door was a note written in my girlfriend's handwriting, a note about the last time it was checked about 3 years ago. So now I know for sure she knew about it, but why didn't she tell me? Why was she so secretive about it? I really want to go down there, but I don't know if I should. She's going to be gone for a couple more hours, so I feel like now's the time. And then the OP links something really, really interesting, and she posts a picture. And in the picture, you can see how she's looking down, and there's a ladder on the top of the picture going down, and yeah, very deep, like 10 feet at least, which is kind of crazy. And then goes down, and then there's like a hatch over a bathroom. I don't know if like they have a basement, or like did she even know this bathroom was here? Or is this like a secret bathroom? And you can see there's a toilet, a sink, checkered tile on the floor. It's like an elevator shaft almost, but crazy. I mean, that is so weird. And under this post, some people say this is the sort of room trafficking victims are stashed in. And as though its existence isn't concerning enough, your girlfriend is aware of the room. The room has been accessed frequently enough to remain clean, and your girlfriend is now actively trying to prevent you from discovering it. Be very wary. If you do go inside, please consider recording the room as you enter and documenting everything you see and touch in case you find anything that should be shared with police. Yeah, this took a very dark turn. Someone else says, that's weird as fuck. The fact that it looks clean and not dusty is kind of sketchy. Why on earth would anyone have a secret toilet hidden under the floor? Someone else says, OP, I survived human trafficking. I was kept many times in rooms under floors like this. Call the police immediately from a safe, undisclosed tour location. I was trafficked for 5 years before I got out. Someone is down there keeping it clean. Don't leave them to potentially suffer the same fate I did. Someone said, reading this gave me the chills. I'm so sorry that happened to you, and I hope you're in a better place now. Yeah, this got dark quickly. Someone else says, I'd honestly leave it alone for today. Maybe ask your girlfriend about the floor/carpet again, but don't let on that you know about the secret bathroom. If she's still evasive or defensive, I'd wait until she's out of the house for a few hours again. Call over a friend or two and go down with them to see if there's anything else or just look around. I'd take photographs/take a video of everything though, just in case, because honestly, it's kind of concerning how clean it is. And the note is also very odd. Then if I were you, I'd go out with your girlfriend in a public place, show her the photos/videos and ask her what's the deal with the bathroom, because the fact that she's so determined to hide it from you is weird. Someone else says, I feel like there's more than a bathroom down there. Please do as others are saying and inform friends, plus enable location sharing on your phone/devices with them and document your exploration of that space. Whether or not she's doing anything illegal or immoral, your girlfriend's behavior is not entirely healthy or responsible. Wishing you the best of luck. Keep us posted. And yeah, this is crazy. And then the OP gives us an update posted on February 24th, 2022. And the post reads as follows, saying, "Hello, I'm alive. Thank you for everyone who worried about me and asked if I was okay. I was worried my girlfriend would come home and see me down there, so I covered it up and left without going further down. In the picture, I stepped down onto the ladder for a better view, in case you're wondering. My girlfriend was tired when she came home, but didn't really say much. I panicked a little when she went towards the room, but she thanked me for moving stuff. I don't think she suspects me, but it's hard to tell with her. I moved some stuff back into the room, so it would be a little less obvious. I texted my mom about the weird room, and she told me to not go down there because I could die or get stuck. I insisted, however, and although she wasn't happy, she promised she'd call the cops if I didn't respond to her in 2 hours after I told her I'd be going. She'd also come to the house after me. You can never be too careful. I waited until my girlfriend was asleep and slipped out of the room. I really wanted to go earlier, but I wanted to be able to have a lot of time. As my mom suggested, I tucked my phone in my phone purse and tied some rope around it. I lowered it down to the bottom and called it with the home phone in the kitchen. It rang, so I assumed service would work down there. I climbed down there, and big surprise, it was a bathroom. As some of you pointed out, it was clean, but not super clean. I didn't notice anything suspicious. The toilet flushed and the electricity worked. It seemed maintained. I was curious about the door, however. I thought it may lead to storage, but it led to another room. The room was covered in survival bunker stuff, medical kits, books, a huge box filled with rations, gallons of water, and a cot. It looked newish too. Some of this stuff seemed heavy, so I don't know how she could have carried it down a ladder, unless there's another entrance I don't know about. I guess she could have carried it in a backpack, but it would have been difficult, considering how much stuff there was. When would she have the time? My girlfriend leaves really early in the morning, so I guess she could have gone in around then, but still. There was a small metal door in the wall. I looked inside. The interior was covered in cobwebs. It looked like a crawl space. I decided to avoid going in there for now. Anyway, besides that, there was nothing suspicious. I turned off the lights and went back up. I told my mom I was alive and went to bed. The next day, my girlfriend canceled the flooring because the guy she called said it would be more expensive than expected. I don't know if this is true. Nothing else has really happened, but it has me thinking, did my girlfriend hide the room from me because she wanted to survive alone? Should I confront her on it? I've kept all this a secret and it's been painful. I want there to be another reason for hiding it, but I can't think of any. I don't think I can update on here again, so tell me if there's a more appropriate subreddit. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, some people don't want to be outed as a survivalist, I think. Someone replied to this saying, when my husband and I were first house hunting, we went to a house that had this little Alice in Wonderland style door in the back of the master closet. I dropped to my knees, crawled through the door, and found the most luxurious home office I've ever seen in a normal house. I still lament not buying that house and still talk about how that would have been my survival room when the in-laws come for long visits, when the kids have too many friends over, when the Yankees play the Red Sox. And so it seems like people have kind of come to two different speculations. Either one, they think it's a survivalist bunker of some sort, and two, some people think it's a human trafficking room. Both very different, and a possible third option that I'm not considering or no one else is considering. Let's get into some of the other comments. Someone says, if she checked it 3 years ago, she may have quit the prep world and felt ashamed about it. I mean, if you're fully invested in something to the point of creating a bunker, you may feel a sense of shame after quitting and not really be sure how to address the subject anymore. Someone else says, when I saw that picture of that bathroom, I thought this was going to be an extreme way to not poop around your partner. I wasn't thinking it had anything to do with a survival bunker. And then we haven't heard from the OP in 3 years. That last update is the last update we ever got. So did the OP get murdered by the girlfriend for finding out a secret human trafficking room? We don't know. Did the OP just forget her password? That's another possible theory. But I don't know, a very interesting post. That picture is just so eerie to me. I mean, I don't know if I believe it's human trafficking. I mean, I feel like the OP would know if there was literal humans hiding in her house. And I don't know how the OP's girlfriend would kind of sneak that for 3 years or 5 years or whatever. I don't know. Possible. Or maybe she's ashamed of being a prepper. But still, why wouldn't she be like, hey, I have this cool bunker in my basement? I mean, if like I was a prepper or something, I'd be like, dude, I've got this badass bunker downstairs and we can go down here and chill or something. I don't know. Make it a cool area to hang out. I don't know. It seems weird that she'd be ashamed to just not tell the girlfriend and also be very dismissive and be like, oh, you don't need to help me with the flooring. I've got it. And then she found that. I don't know. Very, very weird. I don't know. Yeah, very interesting though. Please comment your theories and thoughts down below. I'd love to see what you guys think. Something weird has been happening on my roof. Advice is welcome. Okay, just a little bit of backstory. At my childhood home, I was certain there was someone who hung out on the roof of our addition at night and watched me through my bedroom window. It was too dark out there to see for sure, and I was too afraid to shine a flashlight, but I could hear them sometimes and would see flashes of light almost like they were taking pictures. My mom thought I was nuts until one day she said that the furniture on the deck of the addition was moved in a way so that someone could climb up on the roof when she came downstairs in the morning. She still didn't do anything except put blinds on my windows because she's the type of person that never addresses issues and pretends like everything is always fine. Now flash forward to now. I am 28 years old and my sister and I own a house together. We bought it last year and we live in a kind of a shady area, but it's a nice house. We have a huge kitchen addition on our house, but it is the only 1 story tall and there's a flat roof above it. The roof leads up to the windows of my sister's bedroom and a shared bathroom. The house has 3 people living in the house, my sister, myself, and my good friend. We are all girls in our 20s. One day we looked outside and on the roof, visible from the bathroom window, was a piece of fried chicken. It was very odd and out of place, and I made a mental note that we'd need to climb out the window and grab it so that animals did not migrate to the roof. We had recently had a party and chicken was served, so I figured some asshole threw their piece on the roof, whatever. Next day I go in and it's gone. Okay, weird, but maybe a bird took it. A few weeks later I noticed there is another bone on the roof. This time it is a hip bone of a larger animal, maybe a deer. It is very odd, but I made a mental note to grab it off. Didn't have time at the time, and the next day when I went up to get it, it was gone. I found it in the yard when I went to rake up some leaves that were left over after the winter. Weird again, but whatever. So it got really weird today. Today I went into the bathroom and there was a large jug of fruit punch sitting on the roof of the addition. The weirdest part is it's not full of fruit punch, it appears to be pee. It is also open, so if it were thrown onto the roof, I would assume that physics would cause the pee to fall out, and the pee is very much still in it. I took a picture. I don't have a picture of the other things, but I am being as truthful as I possibly can about them. And she links a picture. I will blur the picture of pee because I don't know how YouTube feels about that. And yeah, there's a picture or just a jug of something on the roof. Very weird. Not sure if I should try to set up a camera to see if someone is hanging out on the roof. Not sure if I am just paranoid about it because of my former events in my life. Any advice would be welcome. I have a small camera that I could possibly try to set up, but it is not waterproof, and I'm not sure how good the night vision works on it. It is a dash cam / nanny cam, and I bought it to set up in my room because of the area we live in. And now let's get into some comments under this post. Someone says, number 1, set up a camera or an old phone will do a trick. Number 2, I'm thinking raccoons. If there's somebody chilling on your roof, eating meat and peeing in milk jugs, you definitely want to know. And the OP responses is saying, there are definitely raccoons in the area, so that is a possibility. That makes me feel a little bit better. Thanks for the advice. I want to try the camera. And I don't want to do a dig at the OP or the commenter, but how the fuck would a raccoon pee in a pee jug? You know, like that doesn't really add up. Like it has to be a person. Last time I checked, like raccoons don't carry around pee jugs, and pee in the pee jug? Like, let's be serious. But anyways, I'm not trying to dig at them, but that just seems kind of weird to me. Like, sure, the meat could be from the raccoons, but there's a pee jug up there. And then the OP also comments saying a couple things I should mention. The blue house you can see in the picture is the next door neighbors. The house was abandoned and is supposed to be demolished, but people just moved into it a few weeks ago. After both of the chicken incidents, there is a neighbor on the other side, but that house is currently empty and being remodeled. That chimney leads to nothing inside the house, which is weird, but there are a few fireplaces in the house that are non-functioning and closed up. The house is 114 years old and was renovated 7 years ago. I know that roof makes it look like a really shitty house, but it's not. We just have to fix that roof. The rest of the house has a normal roof. Someone else says, it's a drifter. The leftover garbage is probably being moved by animals throughout the day. I'd call the cops and see if they'd swing by your house at night. And then the OP responds to this saying, they're already in my neighborhood almost every night for something else. I'm thinking a camera system around the house and a motion light, and I agree. Someone else says, probably just your run-of-the-mill crackhead. And then the OP gives us an update, saying, I found out who has been lurking on my roof, watching us bathe. The OP then reads, today my roommate was showering and she heard something on the roof. She got out of the shower, and as she did, she saw a face staring directly at her through the screen of the window. She looked and saw this little guy. And this little guy ended up being a raccoon. So they were right about the raccoon, and you can see a raccoon's head peeking up through the window. And yeah, cute little raccoon. And then she continues saying, so she was just able to catch a pig before he scampered away. We just added extra lights to the bathroom, which I think was the reason we never saw him before. I guess my past had me thinking the worst. The container was probably just filled with gross garbage juice and not pee, since raccoons sometimes get into the garbage around here. And then some comments. Someone says, to someone who is relieved the culprit isn't human. And the OP says, yeah, me too. I think I watched too many crime shows and just immediately assume everything has to be an R-wordist/murderer. Someone else says it was a raccoon with a human body. And then the OP responds to that saying, or the creep was just holding a dead raccoon to the window because we figured we were onto him. And I don't know. That is a good theory that the raccoons brought up a jug, but still, why? I still think it's very weird, especially if they're in a sketchy neighborhood. Someone could definitely be hanging out. It could be raccoons plus a dude, or just raccoons. I don't know. That's a mystery. That's why this video is titled Mysterious Reddit Threads. But that's a very interesting post. And what do you guys think? Do you think there is some sort of guy hanging up on the roof, or do you think it's just raccoons hanging out on the roof? I just think the only thing that doesn't have me convinced it's fully raccoons is the jug. I just think it's very weird. And if somebody were to hang out on the roof and hang out there for a while, they'd probably bring a pee jug of some sort. I don't know. It could be garbage juice, but who knows? Leave your theories down below. OP disappears into the mountains while the subreddit worries over the mystery object. The OP's first post is found in a crawl space of a house from the 80s next to 3 red boxes encased in concrete. The lid with the radioactive sticker on it was found sitting on the top of that concrete slab. The red you can see is 3 metal boxes encased in 18 inches of concrete with another layer of cinder blocks on top of it. And the OP links a photo, and you can see this is what he found in his basement. So I guess it's some sort of radioactive material in his house. And then the OP responds to the comments saying, no idea. It's a pretty quaint and otherwise normal house off a busy road, about 5 miles from our college campus. And then the OP responds to some more comments saying the US, specifically Northern Utah, which campus? Utah State University. The OP then says, the plate with the warning and handles was about 3 by 5 millimeters too thick height-wise and about 3 inches too short lengthwise to fit in the opening where the boxes are. The OP also says, definitely not trolling, and it's a friend's house, so I don't know the full details. One commenter says, pretty sure you should notify the Department of Energy or police about this one. Someone else says, the concrete is to keep the radiation contained. You could also call the NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Cover it back up and stay away. Exposure prevention is based on distance and time, with blocking materials basically increasing your distance by preventing some of the energy from passing through. Spend as little time near it as possible. And then another commenter says, I work for an environmental company and haul hazardous waste. The first thing in that label, specifically in the red, is for group 1 or 2 radioactive materials, which are the worst, assuming it was properly labeled. That case and the door may be made of lead, so don't handle it often and follow precautions for lead. 14 MR of radiation isn't a lot considering it's also properly labeled. I'd report it, but be careful how you report it, or hazmat teams in level A suits are going to shut down your entire street. Do not try to get rid of it or transport it. Call the DEP and tell them what's going on. In my state, we run home hazardous waste drives funded by the DEL, and we have taken all sorts of haz. And so we kind of got thrown into this post. And so basically some guy on r/what is this thing posted a picture, and he's like, what is this mystery object? And people are like, oh shit, that is hazardous waste, or that is, radioactive material. And so pretty crazy stuff. Another commenter says, I work in the nuclear power industry. Things that need that much shielding are never ever kept in residential areas. Given the age, the source containers should be leaking, and there could be considerable contamination if they're actually in there. Do not open the red boxes and do not go back into the crawl space. Take a shower and call the police. Someone else says, radiation doses are cumulative, so being close by for a short period is probably fine, but for longer terms or frequently wouldn't be. Oh boy, what is OP in for? And then the OP gives us an update saying, okay, quick blanket update for everyone. It's not my house, and I was over there last night when we found the boxes. I posted this morning, and after getting all the warning messages, I've contacted my friend who owns the house and forwarded all the warnings and highly recommend he contacted some of the agencies you've recommended. I'll be in the mountains and out of service for a good chunk of the day, but I will do a follow-up with a friend when I get back and keep you all updated. I appreciate all the advice and information and can only hope it is nothing too serious, because I definitely fondled that lid for a good amount of time. And then some comments replying to this saying, get into contact with a critical amount of radioactive material, decide to go into the mountains instead of the hospital. Holy shit, some people. Another commenter said, considering this guy's brain/common sense seems to be out of lunch, would it be any use if we did so? Might be location data in the picture depending on this device. Another commenter said, the NRC has been contacted. They are aware of the situation and are treating it as a priority event. According to the NRC, multiple federal agencies are involved at this point, as well as agencies within the state of Utah. That being said, OP should still contact them, as he or she has first-hand knowledge and will be able to help this resolve quicker. It's not a question of if feds will be knocking on their door at this point, but when. This escalated quickly from a Reddit post to multiple federal agencies involved in this. Someone else says, probably don't want to be out of the cell phone range right now, buddy. Fort Curie is a lot of radiation, and you could be putting everyone you contact in risk. Did you open it? Someone else says, the guy handled radioactive material, covered in warnings, and when told the danger decided to go to the mountains out of cell phone range. I'm assuming at this point they are tossing it around and playing games with it. And then someone else says, it is very important that the authorities are notified. I'm a huge nuclear fanatic and love old nuclear artifacts, but I would feel obligated to myself and the public to let the authorities know. Orphaned sources are a serious threat. People have died from orphaned sources. I'm not really sure what that means. And then the OP gives us another update the next day. In the post, it reads as follows. Okay, here's the lowdown. This is absolutely not a troll. I left in the mountains before this blew up thinking much about it because Reddit likes to overact often. But when I got back and saw how it blew up, I just wanted to end the thread without getting the fucking SWAT team called on my friend. Until I started reading comments saying that plenty of agencies were already contacted, so I got genuinely worried and called my friend and tell him we should both go to the hospital. Well, turns out he has already contacted on the phone multiple government agencies. NRC first, who put him in touch with the local PD and hazardous waste, who are sending someone to check it out on Monday, as they are not that concerned because they got the pictures on Reddit and already know what it is. They keep really fucking good track of nuclear material. Surprise. So there's that. Fuck most of you for being so high and mighty. And for those of you who are genuinely concerned and trying to help, thank you so much. I'm fucking dumb, a complete haphazard idiot. But I'm not out to hurt anybody and spread radiation around the city. I'm sorry I didn't call the police immediately after finding out. This might be genuinely serious. I'm glad some of you would have done better. Thanks. Edit. Found out agencies that contacted friend. Double edit. Since people are asking, he apparently contacted the NRC first earlier this morning after I made the initial post and contacted him. They didn't find him. And then some people replied to this saying, this should be on r/today I effed up. Today I made a post on Reddit and the entire government got involved. Someone else says, most of these comments came from a place of concern for you, your friend, and those around you. Your rants and disregard for safety about something as serious as an orphan source is infuriating. While yeah, some of the comments are a bit out of hand, you absolutely deserve most of the vitriol that is coming to you right now. You knew the containers were potentially radioactive. You did not and could not know whether the containers actually held radioactive material. You did not contact authorities in a timely manner. You moved, handled, and your friend opened the containers despite the high risk of contamination to you, the surrounding area, and whatever else you managed to touch. Your attitude tells me that you still don't appreciate the gravity of the situation. Hundreds have died doing exactly what you did because the container they opened wasn't empty. Opening the box to see what's inside is about as intelligent as looking down the barrel of a gun to see if it's loaded. Yes, it didn't kill you, but why on earth would you do it? And then the OP replied saying, I wholeheartedly accept that I should have contacted the authorities sooner, but we spent the less than 5 minutes with the lid, took 2 pictures, and then left everything there. I posted on Reddit at 7 a.m., and my friend contacted the NRC by 10 a.m. Half the people on here said the sticker looked fake. Are they all infuriating morons that deserve vitriol if they would have just left it there in the crossface without a second thought? Who the fuck are you helping? Your vile, high horse attitude isn't helping anyone except you feel good about my honest mistake. Does it feel nice knowing you didn't fuck up today and someone else did? And then a commenter replied to that saying, I want to know how they would even get in contact based off 2 photos. And the OP replied saying, your guess is as good as mine. But if 2,000 plus people make a drink about someone potentially having nuclear material in their basement, someone is bound to take it seriously. Another commenter says, the material might still be at the last address if it was registered to. That's the first place I'd look if I was them. Someone else says, how did they get in contact with their friend? How did they know who to contact? The OP replied saying, several people made reports to several government agencies using the info I provided on this thread. Someone else says, I wonder what the authorities are gonna think when they're gathering all the info / questioning everyone and they find out the next day OP mysteriously went to the mountains. The OP replied saying that OP has a good time enjoying the outdoors. Another commenter said, I'm glad that it doesn't seem to be that pressing of a health or safety concern, but based on your previous comments, some of which have been edited away, you and your friend could have handled this much, much better. Good luck to you. And then the OP commented saying, honestly, I've been in cell service for all of 1 hour since I made the last post, and the NRC was already at my friend's front door. The OP said, granted, I handled it like a fool, but it's stunning how many people are trying to put me down for having handled it improperly. I hope you're having a wonderful day, my friend. And then the OP gives us an update 2 days later. He says, okay guys, here's the wrap up to this whole fiasco. I want to start this off by saying, please stop contacting my local police department, fire department, the NRC, FBI, and any other various agencies you all have been contacting. The people that need to know are well aware of the situation, and it has now been handled. At this point, the calls and reports are starting to take up valuable time that all of these agencies need to be spending on better things. Thanks. As of today, a 3-man team from the state of Utah Department of Environmental Quality, Division of Waste Management and Radiation Control, Uranium Mills and Radioactive Materials Section, holy shit, showed up at my friend's house around 10 a.m. and spent a few hours taking readings, swabbing samples, and asking questions, and after all of that, found nothing but natural trace amounts of radon. The lid, they think, was from the late 1950s and was unrelated to the vault. They had no idea what the vault was for, and they think it was for storing valuables. Here are pictures of the empty vault, nothing but a piece of thin sheetrock in the middle one. As for the lid, one of the crew members asked what my friend wanted to do with it. He said with as much of the hassle it caused him, he'd rather not have it. They said that it was a cool piece of history, so he let them have it. They'd appreciate it much more than he would. And that's it. After spending the last 2 days thinking we were on our way to death's door, getting half the government looking our way, causing my friend to miss work and loads of undue stress, that's it. Thanks everyone. To the people that posted some genuinely concerned and thoughtful posts and advice, thank you all especially. There's some really good people out there. Have a great week, everyone. And then the OP includes some additional photos, and let's get into those photos. One post is the radioactive material supposedly in those 3 boxes. Photo 2, you can see a closer up, and I mean, they're all very similar photos, but I mean, yeah, people were freaking out over this. And then he shows a picture of it opened. There's nothing in there. And then photo 4, there is kind of nothing in another one, and then the same in the next. But very interesting post. This was kind of a mystery because I'm like, when I first saw this, I'm like, holy shit, did an OP literally, you know, like get radioactive poisoning and die or something? And also the initial title was super interesting, where it's like he disappears into the woods. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? But yeah, very interesting post. And it was kind of just a mystery overall, because it's like, what's going to happen? And yeah, Reddit did kind of blow this out of proportion, like Reddit usually does. But there was actually a news article about it. And the news article is titled, "Authorities, There Was No Radiation Despite Concern Over Strange Find in Cache Valley Home." After several people expressed concern online over a lid with a radioactivity warning label found on the crawl space of Cache Valley Home, officials say upon investigation, no dangerous material was found. Several people expressed concern. It was more like thousands, which is kind of funny, and they kind of tell the whole story we just read. Very interesting post. I mean, this was very unique. I've never read any sort of post like this or thread like this, but I hope you enjoyed. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. These were some mysterious Reddit threads. If you enjoyed today's video, please comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. What would you like to see in the future? What would you like to see improved on? And please subscribe to the Patreon. It means the world. You get to see every single video early access, and you also get weekly access to the Snook Show. Thank you all for the support. It means the world. And please like the video and subscribe to the channel. The channel subscriber goal is 1 million subscribers, so please subscribe. It really helps so much. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy other videos on the channel, so check some other videos out. Thank you so much for sticking around. And this is Snook, and I'll see you next time. Bye.